Welcome back to Maestro Politico. This one's going to be for both YouTube and maybe X, but I probably will not put this up on X for reasons you're going to see in a few seconds. It's been a very difficult week for me. I'll get into it maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday when I feel like it. But anyway, let's go into a couple of things. We're going to do a let's watch. But before we do a let's watch, let's take a look at this because can we get that screen on? Can we get things working? So let's take a look at this post here. So everybody's been talking about the JFK files. The Epstein files are still out there to be determined. Now, everybody's still mad at Pam Bondi, by the way. But let me tell you, Pam Bondi, if she hadn't done that publicity stunt with the page ones, I think people wouldn't be mad at her. But, these things take time. So everybody's talking about JFK. So the short answer, this is what I put. This is my pinned post or tweet on my profile on X. Go to X, Maestro Drake 1, Maestro Drake. And this is what I wrote. Grok helps with these shortcuts to learning more about the JFK files. Welcome to the Cliff's Notes for those 45 and older. So Cliff's Notes, of course, were these little yellow books that told you what the story was about without you having to actually read the story. That's right, kids. Before Wikipedia, we had Cliff's Notes. We didn't have access to the internet. And even if we did, it wasn't enough. We had to go to a Cliff's Notes like little rack in the bookstore in the mall. Okay, so you get those little yellow books with the little sort of police tape sort of borders on it, the caution tape borders, and you see little mountains on it. Would say the like the Odyssey, like Christopher Nolan's Odyssey coming out next year. That is there's an actual Cliff's Notes for the Odyssey, but you could go to Wikipedia these days if you want to. And we're going to take a look. So the Cliff's Notes, the short version of this is that the CIA was definitely involved in killing JFK. It wasn't all Lee Harvey Oswald or just Jack Ruby. There was a lot more. I can recall, before we look into this, I can recall the movie with Oliver Stone. I'm surprised Oliver Stone hasn't said anything. Oliver Stone has an X account. I'm surprised he, of all people, hadn't said anything. William Shatner, 94. I don't give a shit. So let's take a look. So what I asked Grok is the AI for X and Elon Musk approved. I asked a question. I said, what is the most damning piece of evidence from the JFK files? Okay. So I'm going to enlarge this and we're going to see it. We're going to look at the conversation here. Let's take a look at this. I'm going to read this to you, okay? Determining the quote-unquote most damning piece of evidence from the JFK assassination files is inherently subjective as it depends on one's perspective. So, based on the recently declassified records as of March 19, 2025, one piece of evidence often highlighted is the implications surrounding Lee Harvey Oswald's interactions with CIA operatives and anti-Castro groups, particularly the involvement of George Joanides. So George Joanides, or we'll just call him George, it might be easier. He was a CIA officer stationed in Miami, Florida, emerges as a significant figure in the declassified files. Records show that in August of 1963, Joanides authorized a $25,000 payment to the Directorio Revolucionario Estudiante, DRE, not DEI, but DRE, an anti-Castro Cuban exile group that Oswald contacted in New Orleans shortly before the assassination. Okay, so this is like people trying to overthrow. Oh, Castro's dead now, so what does that matter, right? This connection is notable between the DRE was under George's suspension as part of, or he's under his. Hold on. Okay, supervision as one of the CIA's covert operations, and Oswald's outreach to the group, offering to assist them before abruptly shifting to pro-Castro activities. It raises questions about whether he was being monitored or manipulated by the CIA. The timing is critical. This occurred just months before Kennedy's death on November 22nd, 1963. Furthermore, George Joanides Later served as the CIA's liaison to the House Select Committee on Assassinations, HSCA, in the 1970s. Yet he never disclosed his prior role overseeing the DRE or its contact with Oswald, which some interpret as an intentional omission to obscure agency involvement. Why is this considered damning? It suggests the CIA has had a closer relationship with Oswald than previously admitted, contradicting the official narrative established by the Warren Commission in '64 that Oswald acted alone with no significant ties to U.S. intelligence. The WC concluded that there was no evidence of a conspiracy, domestic or foreign, but that these files hinted at a possible cover-up. At minimum, a failure to fully disclose Oswald's activities. Critics argued this could imply the CIA either knew of Oswald's potential threat and failed to act, evidenced by his monitored trip to Mexico City in September '63, where he met with Soviet and Cuban officials and reportedly threatened to kill Kennedy, or in more conspiratorial interpretations, actually positioned him as a patsy. However, this evidence is not conclusive. The files don't explicitly prove CIA orchestration or the assassination. They show bureaucratic secrecy and possible negligence rather than a smoking gun, quote unquote. For instance, a memo from the CIA's Mexico City station during Oswald's visit indicates surveillance but doesn't confirm direct agency, contact, or control. Historians like Gerald Posner, who support the lone gunman theory, argue that such records reflect standard intelligence operations rather than a plot, while others, like Jefferson Morley, see them as pointing to a broader conspiracy. Okay. So let's see. And finally, ultimately, the Joe Needy's DRE Oswald link stands out because it challenges the transparency and competence of the CIA at the time, fueling speculation that the full story remains untold. With over 6 million pages now digitized by the National Archives following Executive Order 14176, signed January 23, 2025, this piece continues to be debated as a critical thread, damning not for definitively proving a conspiracy, but for exposing how much was withheld from earlier investigations. So we still have no answers about it, and we may never get them. I'll tell you this: it's things like this. His brother Bobby and Martin Luther King, which I still like to know what more was going on. You had segregationists like Colonel Sanders, who liked segregation. What happened in Tennessee was shit. What happened in Texas was shit. What happened to Bobby Kennedy was shit. And Bobby Kennedy was crucial to not having Cuba go to war with the U.S. That's the whole plot to 13 days. Also with Kevin Costner. These three assassinations were the beginnings of the ends of trusting the government. And we wouldn't really trust them fully until, even with Reagan, there were problems, with Oliver North and the weapons going overseas. Trump coming back to office, I thought was probably the best thing that happened. And you have just people that we see that we could start to trust more and more. Nixon, and you had Bush and Bush Jr. and Clinton. And there were good things that Clinton did, but we just didn't trust anybody after that. We didn't trust anyone. So what I get from is that we're starting to get our trust back. Trump dodged a bullet. He dodged a couple of bullets. So I think it's maybe you could argue it's God's way of trying to get us to get back into good graces with America. But then God killed a lot of people with COVID. I mean, there are way, way more religious people than people in my family, and they died of COVID. What was their sin? My brother died. What was his sin? That's why I'm not religious. That's it for this one. So let's take a look. Now that we've kind of have a no closure to this 50-year-old case, 60-year-old case, let's go ahead and look at something here that is sort of Elon related. Okay, this is Elon Musk's CyberHouse bunker. I saw this and ran across it. I don't know what this is. It goes with the Cybertruck. This is 4 years ago. Will we see...
worried about a post-apocalyptic future?
Let's see.
You should save up your money to buy a CyberHouse. It's the ultimate abode for surviving.
As long as they don't spray paint swastikas on it.
What you see before your eyes is the state-of-the-art CyberHouse.
I have not seen this.
And emergency shelter. It has sharp angular lines like the Cybertruck.
A Batmobile must have a Batcave. Holy shit.
and the lower level is a safety bunker.
It's like the Batcave.
It's still just a concept, but it could cost $865,000. Are you ready for a tour of CyberHouse? Follow me inside for a sneak peek of this amazing abode. Let's take a look at the exterior of CyberHouse before we venture inside. The innovative dwelling is the brainchild of Russian architect Alex Wazevsky, and we expect Elon Musk himself would love to live in this futuristic home. The 7,500 square foot CyberHouse is impenetrable thanks to
It looks
steel and
like the
concrete
tumbler from
walls,
Batman
armored
Begins, huh?
windows, metallic blinds, and military-grade airlock doors.
Oh,
Elon
shit.
Musk would have no problem buying a CyberHouse, as $865,000 is chump change to him. A fully decked out and upgraded CyberHouse will cost over $1 million, and the steel and concrete will cost at least $70,000. Hop in your Cybertruck and let's take a tour of CyberHouse. As you drive through the garage doors, you enter the first of 3 levels. The main level of CyberHouse.
Does it have a
is the
raised
living
platform?
area. This is where you'll try to relax and
Does
take
it go
your
up to
eye
the
off
third floor?
post-apocalyptic wasteland that
No.
surrounds you. CyberHouse offers 3,230 square feet of living space. The concrete walls are incredibly thick, which increases the total square footage of the complex considerably. There may be nothing but desert for miles and miles, but at least you'll be cozy and safe inside CyberHouse. Park your $40,000 Cybertruck on the platform elevator in the center of the building, and let's take a look around. Okay, on the west side of the main level, you'll notice 3 bedrooms. Each bedroom comes with its own adjoining bathroom and can comfortably fit 2 people. CyberHouse is designed to house 10 people max, but things will feel much less cramped with only 8 people. Just throwing that option out there. The east side of the main level is much the same, but this side of CyberHouse only has 2 bedrooms.
Oh my god.
Each bedroom on this side also has an adjoining bathroom, and between the 2
It's a
bedrooms,
techno house in
you'll
the
find
middle of the
large
desert.
communal bathroom. This bathroom
Communal.
also has a door that leads to the outer perimeter of CyberHouse.
I don't like a communal bathroom. It's almost like having a public restroom in a private house.
Extreme levels, that's scary. You can enter
You get some guest you invite over, and he's like a pervert watching you in the stalls and shit.
protect you from a nuclear attack.
Oh shit.
The north side of the main level is where you'll find the atrium. It may be the apocalypse, but you still need to keep up your spirits. The kitchen and dining area is located on the west side of the atrium, and the lounge area is on the east side.
Is there a shopping mall
Maybe
area?
A game of Monopoly will help you and your flatmates forget about the wasteland outside.
Ha ha!
How the financial markets collapsed during the final days of civilization. We're such a ray of sunshine over here, aren't we? Hop back in your Cybertruck and let's take a look at the lower level. The platform elevator will descend directly
I knew it!
into the bunker.
There's an
You
elevator.
never have to leave your heavily armored Cybertruck, which adds an extra level of security. The bunker level is your lifeline in case things get really bad outside. Look over to the west side of the bunker and you'll find a secure room filled with emergency food and medical supplies. Inside, you'll find canned goods and freeze-dried foods. Emergency rations for 10 people will cost you about $5,000. However, that food will only last you and your crew 90 days. Once you run out,
But if you live by yourself, you could be good for about almost 3 years.
Insects in the desert. Emergency food is expensive.
About 2.5. If you live by yourself, about 2.5 years.
Insulin, first aid supplies, and vaccines. These medical supplies cost more than CyberHouse itself, but you have to be prepared. Look over to the east side of the bunker. You'll find the generator room on the southeast side of the lower level. CyberHouse needs backup power in case the solar panels on the roof die or the windmills are taken out during a freak lightning storm. Powering CyberHouse is extremely expensive. Each of 3 windmills that supply power to CyberHouse will cost between 1.3 and 2.3 million. You might be wondering what that room is on the northeast side of the bunker. That's the security room, and it's filled with high-tech computers and monitors which are connected to security cameras strategically placed around CyberHouse's exterior. It's time to get back in your Cybertruck and head up to the top level at CyberHouse. The top level of CyberHouse is the terrace. This is where you and your crew can grow fresh vegetables and herbs. The rooftop garden features a water filtration system that pumps clean water for your produce. And there are lounge chairs on each side of the terrace where you can relax and soak up some sun. Every inch of the roof is covered in Tesla solar panels, which is one of the reasons why CyberHouse is so expensive. Solar panels for a typical home cost $43,590.
But the cyber home?
CyberHouse is 5 times the size of a typical American home.
Oh,
So
shit.
the solar panels could cost $220,000 or more.
Oh,
The
shit.
roof of CyberHouse slides open, which means you can sit by the giant fireplace on the terrace and enjoy the desert stars at night. What post-apocalyptic abode should we showcase next? Let us.
All right, coming up next will be Maestro Fuego. And I've turned in the last of my gold coin points, and let's see what game I bought.